Of course, you all know Kamala Harris, this is the day she'll be doing her interview with her quote-unquote emotional support animal, Tim Walz. She'll be appearing on CNN while Donald Trump has some questions, and these are really good ones, that you know are not going to be asked. And if they are, I would be surprised. But the Post-Millennial highlights how CNN's own Scott Jennings slams Kamala Harris for bringing emotional support animal Tim Walz to first interview. When CNN is mocking you for being unable to do an interview, yeah, things aren't going too well for you. But that's Kamala Harris. So here we go. Let me play the clip for you. Weak sauce for Kamala Harris to demand an emotional support animal for her first interview shows an extreme lack of confidence for Thursday night event on CNN.
Is the line now going to be, well, why isn't she doing it by herself?
Yeah, I do think people are going to bring that up. Like, I have great confidence in Dana and CNN to do this. I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand-wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small-time decision, can we do an interview or not, what does that look like for your decision-making process, so on? So, yes, I think Republicans are going to think it's pretty weak to show up with effectively someone to take up half the time.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, right? If I jump over to Civics, I love Civics, by the way. It's a polling website. If we just jump over to, I can't believe Joe Biden's job approval is still here anyway. Let's take a look. How is Joe Biden's job approval among Democrats? Look at this. His job approval went up. Yo, what is this? Is this when he dropped out? Okay, so when Joe Biden does the debate, his approval rating actually stays the same. And then you have him dropping out. It goes up. These people are nuts. Okay, I'm sorry. And there was a minor change. Joe Biden's disapproval dropped by, it moved slightly down, but not even a full point. Republicans, 95% disapprove of Joe Biden. Among independents, disapproval declined after the presidential debate. His approval actually went up. Oh, no, actually, it was going up and then it went down a little bit. But then it went up again. And then once he drops out, why don't we have this highlighted? Oh, yeah. President Biden exits the race. There we go. Yeah. So the point is, it is Democrats who are largely blindly in favor of whatever it is the machine says. Do we have a Kamala Harris in here? Donald Trump favorability rating. Kamala Harris favorability. The media says she's running. All of a sudden, Democrats like her. Hey, look at that. Biden drops out, she steps in, and she gets, what are we looking at, a 13-point bump? Amazing. Well, Donald Trump has some questions. Trump campaign proposes 10 questions for Kamala's first interview since taking over the Democratic nomination for president. It's no coincidence that Kamala's first interview is scheduled for the Thursday night before Labor Day weekend. They already hope it gets lost and isn't even aired yet. Correct! So we're doing a show this Friday morning, tomorrow morning, and it's going to be a religious conversation. We've got a simulation theorist, a Christian, and Ian. I don't know what Ian is, but I think it'd be fun. I wanted to get an atheist. We couldn't get one. That's not fair. We reached out a little bit and we're unable to get an atheist. We probably could have tried harder. But the issue is that I felt it would be unfair to bring on an atheist with, I felt like it would be bullying a person who didn't know what they were talking about. Cue all the atheist anger. But we are still open, absolutely, to having an atheist on the show tomorrow. The concern was the people that we had some moderate interest from or could have gotten are not well-versed enough. And I thought that it would be probably unfair. But ideally, we do have an atheist on the show for the debate because I'm not going to pretend that we know everything. I just felt like the individuals that we had been talking to actually aren't well-versed in theology and moral philosophy and physics to that extent. I digress. So we're going to be having that show tomorrow. But anyway, back to, I don't even know why I brought that up. Back to Donald Trump's proposed questions. Oh, right. Of course. The reason I brought it up is because a lot of people that we wanted to book can't do it because it's Labor Day weekend. That was the point. So we were reaching out to a few people, and they're like, "Dang, I really would want to come, but I'm going to leave in the afternoon for Labor Day weekend, so I can't make it." And so we got what we got. Trump is correct on the Labor Day weekend thing. People aren't going to be paying attention on the Friday for Labor Day weekend. Okay, everyone's going to be counting down the hours till they can leave. I'm going to be doing the same thing. We're going out for Labor Day weekend. We have no show on Monday. It's Labor Day. Everyone should be relaxing with family, enjoying a nice barbecue, cheeseburgers, whatever it is you want to do. I will be enjoying a lobster roll. Probably not the roll, but the lobster indeed. And so Trump's right. They're burying Kamala Harris's interview. So Trump's team publishes 10 questions. Let's go. 10 questions for Dana Bash must ask Kamala Harris. Last night, CNN announced that Kamala has mustered the courage to sit for a joint interview after 39 days of hiding from reporters. It's no coincidence that Kamala and Walz's first interview is scheduled for the Thursday right before Labor Day weekend. They're hoping it's lost. Here's the 10 questions. 1. If you are capable of lowering prices for Americans, why haven't you done it in the 3.5 years you have been in office? Let me try and give the argument. Let me try and answer these for Kamala Harris. If I were a Democrat, how would I answer these questions? All right, let's go through them first, and then I'll give you the Democrat answers. 2, you say housing affordability would be a day one priority. If you were elected, why is it not a priority now? Housing isn't affordable for the average American in 99% of the nation. 3, you co-sponsored Medicare for All and the Green New Deal. Do you still support these multi-trillion-dollar takeovers of the American economy? Ooh, these are brutal. 4, you talk about freedom. What about the freedom of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, and Jocelyn Nungare? These women were killed by illegal immigrants who were let into the country under your watch. 5, President Trump didn't need a border bill to secure the border. Why did you support executive actions like stopping construction of the border wall and halting deportations that intentionally unsecured the border? 6, Trump was the first president in decades to start no new wars. Under your watch, wars are popping up in Europe and the Middle East. Why is that? Not a good question. Not a good question. I got to be honest, not a good one. And I'll come back to them. 7, why did you conceal Joe Biden's cognitive decline from the American people? 8, you supported the defund the police movement and have said that police doesn't mean more safety. Why do you want fewer police officers? 9, you've called for getting rid of cash bail and your campaign hasn't backed away from it. Why do you still support such a radical view? And 10, you have sent anonymous aides out to claim you've abandoned the radically liberal positions that you've held for decades. Do you think lying to the American people is the best strategy? That's a good question in the end because it's loaded. The implication is that she is lying and she can't answer the question without refuting the question itself. But let's answer these. Let me tell you what I think the Democrats can offer up. These are not impossible to answer questions. And this is what you need to do. You need to war game this out. When these questions are being proposed, you need a strong, smart, and honest individual to answer them so you can craft the best questions you can. 1, if you are capable of lowering prices for Americans, why haven't you done it in the 3.5 years you have been in office? Were I running as a Democrat, here are my answers to this one. First, as vice president, it's not so much that I have the same leeway as the president in asserting these positions. And I do think that President Biden, while I do have, I can speak to him and speak in his ear, has different priorities that may or may not have worked out the way Americans have wanted to. And it's a fact that prices are way up. Well, the first thing is we are trying to lower these prices, but a large component of this election is winning Congress and taking control of the Senate, for which, as president, my priority will be to maximize efforts in reducing these prices. But that means we need to win Congress. And right now, we're fairly weak. The Republicans have a majority in Congress, and we're barely breaking the tie in the Senate. And especially with the tumult we're experiencing politically, with it being near 50-50, and now Republicans having a slight majority, I don't know that we have the abilities on our own. This election is not just about the president. It is about winning back government, too. You say housing affordability is a day one priority. If you're elected, why is it not a priority now? The answer is, of course, it's a priority. But for the same answer as to number one, Democrats, stepping outside of the steel man of the answer, Democrats aren't going to do anything. So while I can certainly say it is silly for Kamala Harris to be like, we'll do it once we get in, it is actually the policies they've implemented. So again, while I can steel man these questions for her, I'll also rebut with, you're the ones who passed the Inflation Reduction Act. You succeeded in that. Okay, so it's your fault. Moving on. co-sponsoring Medicare for all and the Green New Deal? Do you still support these multi-trillion dollar takers of the American economy? The answer from Kamala Harris should be, in this regard, she needs to back away and go more moderate and respond with, we have big dreams. And we believe in a clean environment. We believe in clean air, clean water, clean drinking water, especially. We believe in people who get sick not dying because they have, say, the flu. And perhaps these plans went about it in the wrong way. And we need to find a more moderate solution and compromise with those in this country. And so while our goals and vision are still the same, the question can be answered very easily. You talk a lot about freedom, about the freedoms of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, et cetera, et cetera. Kamala is easily going to deflect this and say the actions of criminals does not reflect our efforts to help refugees. That will play well with Democrats. President Trump didn't need a border bill. I'm not going to go through every single one of these questions. My point is, let me go to the one where it says, this one, it was a bad question. Trump was the first president in decades starting no new wars under your watch. Wars are popping up in Europe and the Middle East. Why is that? Easy response. Russia invaded Ukraine. We didn't start that war. And Hamas attacked Israel. We didn't start that war. Next question. That's it. Why did you conceal Joe Biden's cognitive decline from the American people? Kamala Harris will just say that she didn't. It only became apparent after he was struggling in the debate how serious this was. We actually thought he was doing fairly well up until that point. These questions are relatively easy to answer. They're good questions. They should be asked. But my friends, I tell you, a good politician is going to dodge all of these. Let's go through the realities here. Kamala Harris absolutely could help lower prices. She cast the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act. Inflation Reduction Act basically worsened the economy. Joe Biden as president has a lot of control, and she, of course, as vice president also does as well. The reality is they will have answers to these. This is why a debate is more important. Trump can counter. But CNN says Harris's CNN interview is the latest highly anticipated twist in a wild presidential race. What? I love this. Harris's CNN interview is the latest highly anticipated twist? What do you mean twist? She's supposed to give interviews. What is this? Harris will be helping to extend momentum. The highly anticipated twist. Dude, I despise these people. Okay. Let me tell you why they're saying this. Why they're calling it a twist. Because it's actually extremely abnormal for a presidential candidate to behave in the way she is. The swapping out of Joe Biden is nonsense. Doing the first interview as a joint interview is nonsense. And so they're saying it's a twist as if to imply her action in doing this interview is abnormal. They want you to believe the normal scenario is the president doesn't do interviews. But you know what? That's going to work for the Gen Z voter. You know why? Because in 2020, first-time voters, let's say they were born in 2002, their president they voted for, Joe Biden, if they did, he didn't give any interviews. He hid in the basement, called a lid, did nothing. Kamala Harris is doing the same thing. So now for these people, it's their second election. It's normal for presidents not to give interviews, not to give campaign positions, and to just hide in the basement. That's normal. It's a twist that she's actually going to talk to the American people. Well, my friends, I got bad news for you. Where's the post here? Benny Sarlin says Democratic excitement about voting surges to 2008 levels. Gallup poll finds. We'll pull up the story from Semaphore. Democratic excitement about voting surges to 2008 levels. It's Obama territory. Now, I got to wonder, though. It's currently resting at around 72%, and it is bad news for Trump. High excitement means larger turnout. But hold on there a gosh darn minute. It's comparable to the same Gallup polls from 2020. I don't think that's going to be enough. If Democrat excitement is comparable to 2020, and they call it 2008 levels, it's actually 2020 levels. You're not going to muster up the win. It's not enough. It is good for Democrats that they're seeing this enthusiasm for sure. The problem is voter turnout is everything. You see, with these polls in the Trump v. Harris is up 1.7. A lot of these Democrats don't vote. And so that's why Democrats have started doing ballot harvesting initiatives to an extreme degree. They've always done it, but they've ramped it up extremely because they know their turnout is bad. The bad news is there have been key defectors who have jumped ship from Biden to Trump. That seems to be the more average thing for moderates. Republicans are closing the gap in many states, registering more Republicans than Democrats. Polls indicate, actually the data indicates, first-time registrants lean Donald Trump. That's why Democrats have been saying, stop registering people, which is bad news for them. Republicans got to crank it up. Enthusiasm being comparable to 2020 ain't going to cut it. Worse still, the Real Clear Politics average has Harris up 1.7 points. The same time in 2020, Biden was up 6.9%. Hillary Clinton was up 5.9%. Hillary Clinton was up 5.9 and lost the election. So we'll see. We'll see. But I don't think it's all good news for Democrats, and they should be absolutely paying attention to this. Now, what I love is the big question about young men who have been shifting heavily towards Donald Trump. And I got to tell you, my friends, the reason why they attack people like Jordan Peterson, now Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and by all means, criticize both of these individuals. I know certainly the Tate brothers have substantially more criticism. They've said rather horrible things in the early 2010s about, I don't know what they were talking about, pimping or whatever. A lot of these things, many would say, are unforgivable. Talking about, what is he talking about? Getting with 16-year-old girls? Now, look, the argument they make is it's legal where they were in whatever jurisdiction. I still don't think that's defensible. That being said, my point is not to make a video attacking the Tate brothers over bad things that they had said in the past and whether or not we should forgive them for it. My point is, right now, their audience is largely young men who are apolitical. And that is apocalyptic for Democrats. There's a video of like a dude wearing a Top G sweater, like riding a motorcycle. There's videos of people. I saw a video of a guy who's like a DoorDash guy, and he's wearing a Top G shirt or something, and someone posted it online, and Andrew Tate like retweets him or something like that. These guys, these young guys, don't care about politics. They want to know how they can be cigar smoking, ripped dudes driving Bugattis. That's it. Regular run-of-the-mill guys just want to be successful, cream of the crop, best of the best. They just want to be high status. Well, Andrew Tate's telling them things about pushing back against the establishment, telling them to be strong men. Guys who behave this way lean right. They may not be Trump voters or whatever. You may not like Andrew Tate, but Jordan Peterson falls in a similar camp. Jordan Peterson has certainly not said these horrible things in the past. Jordan Peterson just gets criticized for saying seemingly nonsensical things. You're a chimpanzee full of snakes. And people are like, what? But he's a brilliant guy. He's really smart how he approaches things. And he long said, find the heaviest thing you can carry and carry it. Telling young men to take responsibility, clean your room before trying to save the world. And young men found a father figure, someone who told them to be better and be responsible, and that means more Trump votes. So, of course, the corporate press and the media, they're worried about it. They're worried about it. Donald Trump is converting young men to the right, and it's not just Trump. It's not just Andrew Tate. It's not the Tate brothers. It's also young men who want to have families. You know what I think? I think women are more susceptible to social pressures, so they adhere more to the social media algorithms. Young men want what young men want. I think there's a lot of young guys who want a wife. They want to go out. They want to go on adventures. They want to conquer the world, figuratively, some literally. And then they want to come home to someone that loves and cares about them, that they love and care about, that is attractive, and they have children with. That's what guys want. Not every guy, but a lot of guys. It's like a biological imperative for many people to have a family. Women being more agreeable and prone to social pressures, and I'm not saying to be mean to them. There's a lot of benefits in women being more agreeable and social than men. Many of these women are told by social media not to do these things, not to have families, not to have kids, to be a girl boss. And they don't want to have families. So now you have young men, whether you agree or disagree, I don't care if you're a feminist or not, you don't like what I have to say. The reality is this, young men are looking for wives. They're looking for good women who they can love and trust, will have their back. And what they're finding is many of these women doing OnlyFans. And you know what? A lot of guys buy from them. They don't want to marry them, but they'll buy from them. And that's a bad thing, too. A lot of these guys are finding out that women today aren't interested in these things. They want to be the girl boss. They want a career. A lot of women don't and feel pressure to do so as well. But young men are getting angry about this. And that's why they're moving towards Donald Trump and the right. Because the right is saying things like, we want a society where men can be men and women can be women. And there are young men. I'm talking about Gen Z guys. Dude, somebody, there's a funny meme where someone said, they're like 30 and they're like, I feel like I got the last helicopter out of Nam in the dating market. I can't imagine how horrifying it must be to be dating as Gen Z or younger. Oh, yeah. It's kind of wild, I got to tell you. You know, when I was a kid, it was all physical reality. You knew the people you knew. You went to parties. You'd go to parties. You'd meet friends of friends. And that's how you made friends. You met people through people or work, usually school. And now it's all dating apps. Dating apps have made it so that even if you're in high school or college, you're able to meet people online who live far away. It's kind of crazy. So it must be brutal for these young guys. And so they are absolutely shifting right. They say it's Trump's subversive media strategy. And they talk about Trump getting roasted and the shock content. It's appealing. It may just work, blah, blah, blah. But that ain't it. That ain't it. Democrats represent a party where young men are not going to be able to have a family. And there are men who want to have families. There are women who want to have families too. But again, women are more agreeable than men. So men are going to be more single-minded, more centrally focused, not necessarily self-centered, but more focused on their desires and what they want. Whereas women are going to be more susceptible to social pressures on social media. That is, women saying, you know, you want to be independent, you got to take care of yourself, and they'll pursue that. That's reality. This is going to result in a lot of young men voting for Donald Trump. And that's apocalyptic to Democrats. These are factors that I think will contribute largely to a Donald Trump victory. However, none of that matters. As if having an argument about the political debate matters. It's procedure. The polls are so close. The only thing that matters is who's ballot harvesting. That's it. Turnout's meaningless. You walk up to a guy and say, who are you voting for? And he goes, I'm voting for Trump. You go, prove it. Where's your mail-in ballot? Fill it out. That's it. That guy probably doesn't know or care. I believe ballots should be blank, but so long as we're in the system, that's how you win power. So tonight, my friends, should be fun. We'll see what the old Kamala has to say. We'll see what she has to say. I'll wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. World War III, ladies and gentlemen, is afoot. Russia issues that warning. And, oh boy, BRICS, 126 nations want to dump the dollar. Oh yeah, we're getting apocalyptic here, my friends. We are dangerously close. If Donald Trump loses, the Democratic uniparty establishment, neocons, etc., they are not going to allow this to happen. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel. Go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, support our work directly to keep the show going. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all at 4 p.m.